You got a qualification in CAD in high school, Sonny G. Well, that's good. You don't work with CAD anymore, though? My fences, that's the one I want. So I'm just going to drag that into my layer stack here. Wait for it to apply it to the model. And you see that keeps our stonework runs all the way around the outside here by us doing our UVs properly. So we don't have a problem with the texture not matching up on our corner. Just going to remove the layer at the top because it's a blank layer that Substance creates when you create a new project. Just going to check that name, bench side, okay. Let's export our textures. I'm going to export them as a 2K texture because it is quite a large piece of geometry. Sonny G says Pro Desktop is for 3D modeling, projection molding and computerized lathe work. Okay. Oh, you're in sales now. Okay, cool. Yeah, no, I'm not familiar with Pro Desktop, but I haven't done much, well, I haven't done any projection molding work or 3D laser printing. I haven't really looked at that side of things at all. Oh, but that's pretty cool. And sales is cool as well. I'm going to save this into our Art Deco folder. Building fences. Okay, now, before I actually save that, I'm going to change the name here of my texture so when it saves it out, it has the right name. And yes, I just got the hosting notification, so thanks for the host of Clockwork Punk. I do appreciate it. You want to be careful if you're doing that sort of thing, Sonny G. I'm going to edit the name of the texture here. I'm going to call it Bench Side Stone. Actually, I'm just going to call it Bench Side. I think that should be fine. Now we can export the texture. And unfortunately, Substance Painter never remembers my directory. I always have to choose it again. It's a bit annoying. Okay, again, we're saving it as a 2K texture. I'm just going to export that. All right. I'm going to jump into Unreal and import our model. So long as you're extra safe, that's good to hear. It pays to be safe in everything you do. So we've imported our model, but it's still using the old texture, so we're going to have to change our shader. So let's do that. Let's find the shader first. This one here. Let's import the textures we exported from Substance Painter. So we want the color. Are you being funny? It's not difficult to do any of this 3D work, guys. It's like I said, why I'm on Twitch. I want you guys doing it. You can download Blender, a 3D program, which is completely free. You can download Unreal Engine, which is completely free. So download some software and install it and play with it and give it a go. It's a lot of fun. Something I love doing, so maybe you will if you play with it and try it. Gotta go to work in 9 hours, Sunny G. Gotta go to sleep. Well, thanks for popping into chat. I do appreciate it, guys. You guys have been a lot of fun. And like I said, I stream on a Monday, Tuesday, usually a Wednesday, but I've had to turn that. I can't stream on Wednesdays because work is really busy at the moment. But I'll be back on tomorrow. So I do appreciate you popping into chat, Sunny G. All of you guys popping in and saying hello. Like I said, you've been a lot of fun. I'm not going to take the height map in or the normal map simply because the normal map color is incorrect. I've got to look at that. The Clockwork Punk says you tried it years ago but you couldn't get how to use it. Well, give it another go, and if I'm streaming and you have a question about something, pop into my stream and ask me. If I can help, I'm happy to try. And like I said, that's why I'm on Twitch. I'm here to encourage you guys to do 3D. I'm just going to check the name of these textures because I'm not sure which one's which. Okay, that's the metallic. This one will be the roughness, I'm assuming. Yep. And the bottom one will be the ambient occlusion. But no, do guys, like I said, download Blender, it's free, give it a go. Just muck around with the program on your free time. And Nightbot's being a bit of a spam there with my links, so my apologies, guys. Okay, let's delete that old color texture and save our new shader. Actually, there's one thing I need to change, and that's the roughness map comes in as an sRGB map, and I don't want it as sRGB. You're so rude, Sunny G. You're terrible. I'm going to delete my roughness map just for a moment, and I'm going to open it up here and change it from sRGB. Otherwise, the texture is going to be very shiny. And that's okay if you want a shiny texture, but I don't. Now I'm just going to drag it back in and hook it back up again. A Clockwork Punk says that he's stupid and he only knows how to live and shout. I'm sure you're not stupid, Sunny G. A Clockwork Punk. And hey, you don't have to if you don't want to. You can, if you want, watch me do 3D or watch anyone doing 3D online. You don't have to do it yourself. But it is fun. I wouldn't do it if it wasn't fun. I don't believe in doing any job unless you have to if it's not fun. I know, you know, you got to live, so there are times when you just got to do what you got to do. But try and do what you enjoy. It's important. Phil's 3D World Tour. It's Sunny G 1985. You guys are nuts. Alright, let's go back into Max now that we have our base in Unreal. I thought you had to work in 9 hours, Sunny G. I know if I don't get at least 6 hours, I'm pretty crappy the next day. Like, yeah, I don't function well unless I get at least 6 hours sleep. That's okay, so long as it's all done in fun, Sunny G. Again, I'm going to isolate this stone top here. And we're going to export that as an FBX. And we're going to call it fence side stone. You guys. Let's import that stone. I already used that stone for the top of this section of the fence, so I don't have to worry about recreating the shader for it again. I can just reassign it. Actually, before I do that import though, I do have to make sure I do a reset on the X form and also make sure that the pivot is in the middle of the object. Otherwise the sizes won't match up. And how's that bot working out for you, Sunny G? Okay, let's export it one more time now that I've fixed those pivot problems. Okay. I would love to read out what you're saying, guys, but I can't. Like I said, simply because the video will go to YouTube and I have to keep it clean. You guys are nuts. Let's import the stone top that we just exported. I'm going to open up that model and reassign the shader. As soon as I find the shader. I wonder if it's this one. Yeah, I think it's actually this one. I just haven't renamed it, so yeah, guys, try to learn how to use Blender tomorrow. That sounds like a great idea. Remember, I'm here if you've got any questions. Even though I'm not a Blender expert, I use 3D Studio Max. I'm happy to help if I can. Just got to find our model again here. This one. Blender trials tomorrow. Good to hear, Sunny G and Clockwork Punk. Blender. All the way. Okay, let's find that texture one more time so I can drag it over my model. This one here. And let's save it. Alright. Now I've only got to worry about the metal work at the top. You're off to chill a Clockwork Punk? You're still hosting me? I'm glad you love the channel, seriously. Well, thank you. You guys seem like a lot of fun as well. And it's always great to chat to people that are fun. So thank you guys for popping into chat. And thank you for the host as well. Like I said, you guys are fun, and pop back into chat anytime, guys. Like I said, I'm back on tomorrow and then next week on Monday and Tuesday. And thanks for the host as well, and thanks for the follow, so it's appreciated. No problem, Sunny G. Thank you guys again, like I said, for popping in. You were a lot of fun. Alright, let's jump back into Max and get out of isolation mode. And select our ironwork and go back into isolation mode. I'm going to do the same thing again here. I'm just going to select a couple of the pieces of the ironwork and remove them. I'm also going to select a couple of them and just make a couple a bit smaller. Thanks, Sunny G. You have a good night's sleep, and thanks for popping into chat. And thanks to Clockwork Punk for hosting this stream. I do appreciate it, and for popping in as well. You guys are a lot of fun. They're good value. Again though, you see guys, I'm not going nuts here. I'm just moving them a little bit.
They say the other side is greener. I'm pretty sure I won't be late.
And just completely at random.
Yet all I do is bluff and cheat. Better save my thoughts for later. Life is always bittersweet. I've traveled through this world a million times before, and every path I cross I know what lies in store. And even though I know my heart is on repeat.
Okay, let's select a couple and rotate them to make them look less perfectly straight. Just a little bit though, don't go too nuts. Then we'll just do one or two on this side. There we go. That should do. And let's export our fence. But again, we've got to make sure that we do center the pivot and reset the export. I just like to collapse my stack to keep everything nice and neat before I do an export. Not necessary, I just like to do it. And fence side iron is what we're calling it. Let's import it into Unreal. And again, I just want to swap out the material for one that we've already created. So I'm going to jump into my materials folder and find that ironwork shader. This one here, and I'm going to actually just let me okay. Just going to drag that into our shader here. Save our file. Okay, let's put it all together now. So let's start with the base of the fence. And then let's pull in the stonework. Just going to get a bit close to my model here so I can get them lined up. I didn't mean to move that. I'm just looking around the outside to make sure it is actually all lined up properly. I think maybe we can pull it forward just a little bit more. And let's pull in the wrought iron now. Okay. Now I'm going to select them all and create a blueprint so it'll be easy for us to move around and reuse. And that's easily done by going to the blueprints and convert selected components to blueprint. Just choose where you want to put it, and I have a folder called blueprints and calling it fence side iron. We're just going to call it fence side underscore prefab. And that's made a prefab for us so that we can easily move our fence piece around now if we need to. Alright, let's place it at the side of the building here. We're going to have to scale it up, and that's because we scaled the original building up from when we brought it into, from where it is in max to here. We made it bigger. So we're just going to have to scale up our fence as well. Let's just rotate it so it's facing in the right direction. And I know it goes over this doorway, so let's place it near the doorway and then scale it up. Going to jump back into max to get an idea of how big it needs to be. Basically it goes from the edge of that column to the edge of that column. So from the edge of that column to the edge of this column, it's going to make it just a tiny bit bigger. We'll make sure it's actually sitting on the ground properly. And that should be good. Alright. Back into max. We only have one more fence section, and that's the piece at the front here. Because the ones around the side, around the back I should say, are just going to be duplicates of the ones at the front. So let's start with the base of the fence, and again let's go into isolation mode. And again I'm removing these top polygons because we have stonework here now. So this is never seen. So I'm just wasting polys by having it there when it's never going to be seen or used. So I'm just going to select the top sections and delete them. Now that does leave a hole in our mesh here though, as you can see, and we can't have that, so I'm just going to select that top section. Just going to make sure I deselect. I'm in the wrong mode, okay. I just want to deselect these ones running down the side. I only want the ones selected running around the top. So I don't want that one. Or that one. Only the ones at the top. And I'm going to cap it. Where am I? That just closes the mesh up. If I didn't cap it before I imported into Unreal, we'd get leakage happening inside of the actual fence, and it wouldn't look good. So now that we've capped it, we can throw down an unwrap UVW. Again, I'm going to turn off map seams because I don't like those green lines. And let's start selecting our UVs. Okay, we have them selected. Let's do a flatten mapping. Let's again just move them off to the side so they're easy to work with, and start stitching it together. Okay. I'm just trying to find the corresponding side to that. Okay, it's over there. Now these two won't stitch together because this is the verts actually aren't stitched in max. That's the problem with that, which is not really a problem. We're just going to make sure we line up our UVs correctly. So I'm going to select that entire piece there, move it down here. Again, I'm going to make sure that these are the corresponding UVs. So those ones to those ones, they are. All right. Let's straighten them out now. And make sure they're straight running this way. I'm actually using Max 2016. I'm going to have to test 2018 a bit more before I make that my mainstay version, because when I was using 2017 it used to crash my PC. There's a problem with Max 2017 and the nitrous viewport. I don't know if they've fixed that yet, and hopefully they've fixed it in 2018. They did an update on 2018 the other day. Autodesk did, that is. But I'm not going to use it on stream just in case it crashes the machine and crashes my stream. But I do want to use 2018 because Autodesk have made a lot of changes to the UV editor. Improved it quite a bit, so I'm keen to use the new version to use the changes. Now I'm just going to move these into it next to each other. Alright, let's select the ones at the top now. And again, let's do a flatten mapping. I'm just going to rotate this around so it follows the shape of our actual geometry. And then we can select the rest of them. Actually, we've got the inside to do. I forgot about that. Let's do that. Again, you see this mesh is really low polygon, but it's fine for what we need to use it for that fence. So long as it's textured okay, you're not really ever going to notice it's low poly. And we have a high poly stone sitting on the top and a higher poly ironwork on top of that. So this bottom part of the fence is not something anyone's ever really going to pay much attention to. Alright, let's do another flatten mapping. And and stitch our pieces together. Again, I'm just looking for where that join is. There and there. Okay. Let's straighten out our UVs. And let's do the same thing here for the sides. Make sure they're straight. We do this so that our texture map won't stretch. Oh. If our UVs aren't straight, then we can get stretching happening on the texture when it's applied to the model. Alright, let's just move these two close to each other so that the textures will match up. So this should be the bottom. Yeah, which we're never really going to see, so... Again, let's just do a flatten mapping. Again, I'm going to scale them in to make them quite small because we don't need much UV space for these bits we're never going to see. Let's move it down here. I'm going to scale these in so they fit inside of our little box here. And the same with the top. And again, I'm not going to leave it on an angle like that because otherwise the texture is going to look angled. So I'm going to rotate it around until it's relatively square. Like that. And that should be good. Again, let's make sure our pivot is centered. And let's do a reset on the X form and collapse our stack. And we're calling it fence front left. Okay. Let's export it as an FBX. Fence front left. And let's save our old project here and create a new one in Substance. This one was called Fence Side. Okay. Fence front left, that's the one we want. Let's start by baking our textures from the low poly version of the mesh. And let's drag up our smart material that we created for the fence. I'm going to jump back into Unreal quickly. I want to check how many stones are supposed to be at on those fence sections. Yeah, it should be 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. I may just increase the tiling, I think, a little bit. So if I go into my smart material, and I think the reason that it's only showing 2 instead of 3 in the height is because it's a larger mesh. So if I unlock it, so I can change the UV scaling independently of the X and the Y. I think it's this one we want. Yeah. Just pulling it up a little bit more. We might go to maybe 5. Just so we have 3 rows of stone to match the other fences. I may actually do the same thing here on the X, because it's a larger piece of fencing. The texture is looking a bit stretched, so I'm going to pull up on it as well. Not too much. So we have 3 layers, and we've made the actual bricks a bit smaller. And the only reason we've had to do that is because it's a larger section of fence than the other ones we were working on. Okay, let's change our name of our texture here. We're calling it fence front left. And let's export our textures.
Come to the sun with me, so I can show you something you've never.
And again, we're going to save it as a 2K texture. Let's bring it into Unreal. Again, we're going to have to swap out the shader for the. We're going to have to change our texture maps for our shader, so gotta find where it's put it. I think I'll start by renaming it by calling it fence front left, so I don't get completely confused as to what's going on, and I always do an underscore MAT for material. Okay, let's pull our texture back over, and let's import the textures we just exported from Substance Painter. So fence front left, color, metallic, ambient occlusion, and roughness. I'm going to come back to the normal maps at a later date because, yeah, that color, a normal map should be that color, not that color. And it's the generator doing it in Substance Painter, so I'm going to have to look at why it's doing that. Let's drag them into our shader. So we should have our color, our metallic, our ambient occlusion, and our roughness. Again, I'm going to do the same thing with the roughness. If I don't change it from sRGB, it's going to make my shader very shiny, make the stone look very shiny like it's varnished. So I'm just going to remove the roughness map for a moment.